White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the GOP is not at fault for the prolonged suspension of federal funding.
Democrats have voted 11 straight times against the Republican-led clean continuing resolution to keep the government open.
Fox News contributor and townhall.com editor Katie Pavlich on Democrats keeping the government shut down.
When you have senators like John Fetterman, who is a Democrat from Pennsylvania, saying that Republicans should blow through the filibuster in order to reopen the government, you know that the Democrats are no longer moderate.
Thousands turned out last night for a Turning Point USA event at Indiana University.
It was pretty important for me. I'm a pretty big Charlie Kirk fan.
And after he passed away, we basically made the decision that we want to get more involved and stuff like that.
Speaking to also younger people, I guess it makes them feel more seen in that department, so then they want to be a part of that themselves.
Indiana Governor Mike Braun spoke of the event.
9,000, 10,000 chapters across the country, growing into what it is now. It's up for you to be the foot soldiers that we take what he meant and grow it into the place where this is more common on universities than the other stuff you often see in universities.
And Dr. Frank Turek continues to participate in Prove Me Wrong tour stops. Chris Woodward has more.
Prove Me Wrong is something that was started by Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. Since Kirk's assassination, Turek has been one of several public figures appearing at various stops along the way.
You know, Eric has said this show's going to go on, and it should, obviously. We're not going to let evil derail good.
Turek's upcoming stops include the University of Georgia this Thursday, October 23rd. He'll be at UC Berkeley November 10th, and then at the University of Alabama on November 13th. The events do not charge students anything. However, Turek said expenses to plan and operate the event have gone up in recent weeks.
Since Charlie, we've had to hire private security, not just for my safety, but for the safety of the audience. So, unfortunately, it used to cost us like about $5,000 to go to a campus, you know, with the airfare, the hotels, the transportation, paying the guy that does all the video for us. Now it's $15,000.
I'm Chris Woodward.
Over the weekend, 2 churches in Cleveland County, North Carolina, were intentionally set on fire within an hour of each other. Citizens noticed the fire and put out the flames before they could inflict major damage, but questions remain about who was involved and why. U.S. Representative Mark Harris of North Carolina made these comments on Washington Watch.
The fact that there are assaults on Christians and on churches across America is real. And I think that we have to come to the place that we accept that very reality. Thank the Lord that there were citizens that saw the flames and were able to stop and were able to help get it put out.
California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a new law which requires that public school student ID cards display contact information for the Trevor Project suicide hotline.
Greg Burt of the California Family Institute says despite their efforts to tell the bill's sponsor of the dangers students are exposed to, it became law anyway. He says sexual predators, posing as troubled teens themselves, can contact 7 to 12-year-olds and college students.
Most parents would, no matter what they think, would never want to send kids to a website to find friends with adults they don't know. But that's exactly what this organization does in order to help kids who are suicidal.
He says even though the bill may have been well-intended, it actually does more harm than good.
And so everybody focuses on the compassion expressed and the intent of their heart and ignores the practical solution they've come up with. And this one is disastrous. And true compassion never exposes kids to harm. But that's exactly what the government's doing here.
Through the website, it's possible for kids to be exposed to the Gay Men's Club, the Witchcraft Club, polyamory sites, and more. I'm Bob Kellogg.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
Every day, AFA offers biblical insight on issues that others aren't willing to touch in the hopes that you'll become a world changer. That's why we're offering an in-depth worldview training course called Activate. 13 different professors teaching 18 sessions, all available online, including a printed workbook to help you apply what you've learned and 1-year access to AFA streaming content to give you even more resources. Find out more about Activate and sign up today at activate.afa.net.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Issues. That's the name of this program for Wednesday, October the 22nd, 2025. We thank you for listening to AFR. And by we, I mean this panel I got here assembled, which I'm looking around this room, and I'm a little underwhelmed, I got to tell you guys.
So this is not like Avengers Assemble?
Well, the assemble part was very official.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, y'all you just
like
wonder
you
what I was
went down the hall and was
right.
like, not you, not
Right.
you, not you. Yep, you, yep. Yep.
Avengers Assemble.
That is the call for the
That is.
Avengers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right, so I'm Tim Wildman with Ed Battagliano. Good morning, brother Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
Wesley Wildman. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
And you're my brother, even though you're my son. Figure that one out.
Yes.
And Fred Jackson, you're my brother. How you doing, brother
That's
Fred?
right. That is Captain Fred.
Yeah.
Captain Canada.
Oh, Captain.
I am.
I see what you did there.
I am my own grandpa.
Yeah.
You remember there was a song?
Grandpa the Avenger?
No, there was some song.
Geriatric version.
I'm my own grandpa, and it's something. It's a long, involved thing.
But you're so old, you forgot the song.
I'm going to look it up. But you were saying that Wesley can be your brother as well as your son,
right?
And that's kind of what this song was kind of. I'm going to look that up.
You look that up.
It's hilarious.
You're not imagining anything,
No,
Gary.
no.
I'd like to make an announcement. I'd like to get us back on track here.
If you have an announcement, Wesley, go ahead right now. Read from the bulletin.
Read from the bulletin?
Yeah.
No, it's not a bulletin, but it was obvious this morning, and so I need to go in and be transparent with our listening audience. It was obvious this morning that I'm out of the loop a little bit. So I will be today. I'll be pretending as if I'm a listener.
Okay.
So I'm going to be responding accordingly.
Hey, listen, it's okay to admit your weaknesses. Yeah. Wesley's weaknesses is that he doesn't give a rip about foreign affairs.
That's
okay.
I would say not all the way, not a rip, just a half a rip.
Right. He gives half a rip about what's going on in other countries. So his eyes start to glaze over when we talk about this and that going on around the world.
Yes.
Right?
Well, not yes.
You're just learning and growing.
That's true, but let's back up further. Let's bore our audience where I've been the last couple of days.
By the way, just FYI, we have a show prep meeting, if you can believe that, people.
If you can believe.
Yeah, we have a show prep meeting at right after devotion every morning. So 2 hours in advance of this show, we are getting prepared for what we're going to talk about. So that's what
it is. We're here.
When we got to talking about Ukraine and Israel and Colombia and everything this morning, Wesley was disengaged. He was looking at his phone, and that's okay though. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Also, too, a little bit though. Every now and then you get real busy. So I had the opportunity to travel with a baseball team all weekend. We did baseball Monday. I took off and did some food plots and planting. So I'm just now getting back into the.
No, you just conflated baseball with deer hunting.
What I meant was I checked out for about 5 days.
Yeah, you had your baseball tournament and your baseball team. That's your whirl.
Yeah, there you go.
For Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday you had
hunting stuff.
Getting ready for deer hunting season.
Yeah. So I'm back in. So today I'm playing.
You're back in the game, but you're just not up to date. Is what you're saying.
So let me update everybody on this 1947 song by Guy Lombardo.
No, I remember Guy
Lombardo. I'm just going to go with the first part of the lyrics.
Right.
It's a whole long song, but it says, now many, many years ago when I was 23, I was married to a widow who was pretty as could be. This widow had a grown-up daughter, had hair of red. My father fell in love with her, and soon the two were wed. This made my dad my son-in-law and changed my very life. My daughter was my mother because she was my father's wife. To complicate the matter, even though it brought me joy, I soon became the father of a bouncing baby boy. My little baby then became the brother-in-law to Dad, and so became my uncle, though it made me very sad. For if he was my uncle, that also made him the brother of the widow's grown-up daughter, who, of course, was my stepmother.
You know, I'm getting tired about these jokes about the South.
Happened right down the road, didn't it, Tim?
Yeah. about these lyrics. Your family runs in a straight. Your family tree runs straight, and all that has no branches, and all those jokes. You know, huh?
You'd never heard this song?
No, I hadn't. Now, Fred used to spin records back in the day. Fred, you ever heard this song?
Oh, yeah.
You have?
I'm my own grandpa.
Yeah, I'm my own grandpa.
So that it is a twist on.
And Willie Nelson, I think, made it kind of more famous here in our lifetime.
Was that before marijuana or after?
I don't know. Before his tax problems. Anyway, it's a pretty
clever song.
It's clever.
Yeah,
but it'll make your brain hurt.
We're going to put that up on our Facebook page.
Oh, let's not. Yeah, we probably should.
So Wesley's my oldest son, but he's also my brother in Christ. If people don't know what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. And we do know what we're talking about, if you're wondering.
Right.
Okay, so are we ready to move on?
I'm ready.
Yes. For the show. Let's start the show.
Our listeners are desperate for us to move on.
Yeah. Fred, what's your first story?
All right. First from the Insanity File. Now, you mentioned we have a story meeting in the morning. This is kind of news that has come up in the last 30 minutes.
Uh-oh.
Big ruling expected out of the Minnesota Supreme Court today. And I guess the insanity is that we're even having court cases dealing with this today. They are about to rule on whether a male has a right to compete in women's powerlifting. All right? So this is just the latest case on this front.
You have to have a Supreme Court?
Yes.
In Minnesota to decide whether that's right or not?
Yes, because a trial judge said yes, and we're talking about those who claim to be transgender.
Yeah,
all right?
They're dudes, but they raise their hand and say, I feel like a woman.
Yes.
With dresses.
To borrow from Shania Twain, who said, I feel like a man, right?
Yep.
So they feel like they're a woman, so therefore, because their feelings determine their reality, they should be able to compete in sports against girls.
Yes.
That's what they say. Okay.
And the USA Powerlifting Group says, no, we can't have this. For obvious reasons to normal people.
It's unfair.
It's unfair.
Yeah.
So this is the latest one. This case, of course, it just would have an impact in Minnesota, but a lot of states who are fighting these cases, there are groups fighting these cases to protect women's sports, are certainly looking at this.
And this is not the U.S. Supreme Court. This is the Minnesota Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. Of course, the Minnesota Human Rights Act, like in many other liberal states, supports the idea of a guy who says, I feel like a girl, therefore I have a right to compete in these sports. Kind of an this is in our story on afn.net. In an indication of the intense interest in the Minnesota case, numerous athletes and organizations on both sides filed friend of the court briefs, including former tennis champion Martina Navratilova, who is part of a group of 83 female athletes backing USA Powerlifting's position on this.
And Navratilova is a well-known lesbian.
Yes.
Who does not think that men should be allowed, no matter what they claim, should be allowed in women's sports. She was a famous and very successful tennis star.
Yes.
Martina Navratilova. She understands as well as anybody, you cannot allow men to take women's spots and win women's awards or, the prizes that come with professional sports. And so, what's her name? J.K. Rowling. Now, she's straight as far as I know, but she's a feminist.
Yes.
She's also against allowing men in. And both of them have taken a lot of flack.
Yes.
For their.
So is this ruling going to come down today? Is that what we're talking about?
To come down today. The arguments were made in December, so they're expected to come down today. So we'll be
Wesley,
watching.
You have any comment on this? This doesn't involve foreign affairs.
Well, I've always said that when this transgender sports came along, now again, I don't believe in transgender. Let me back up. If it's for 18 and older, so you got like Olympic sports,
college
sports, those, if they want to create, they meaning the transgender community wanted to compete against themselves, or transgender community, LGBTQ community or whatever, and they wanted to create a third category that they believe that somebody would, they can get enough
have their own
support,
league.
their own league, whatever, knock yourself out. Like, I think go for that. but you're stating the obvious when you say this is a transgender woman. Well, why do you have to say it's either a woman or it's not?
Right.
So that in and of itself. Now, I don't believe if 18 and under for anything, high school, middle school, youth sports of any kind, I don't even think there should be a third option or alternative at all.
No parking wreck. I don't think they're not going to have. We're going to have 10 transgendered 8-year-olds show up for soccer practice.
Sure, exactly.
No, that ain't going to happen.
No, it's not.
Excuse me, ain't. All right, let me ask you a more on a serious note here. I'm going to ask Ed. I want to ask you this question, and then we can move on, because I think why do the people on the left, and not all of them, you find some that are sane on this issue. Bill Maher, Fetterman, John Fetterman, the senator. There's some other noted ones. Even Gavin Newsom has criticized it, even though he allows it to happen in the state of California. But I want to ask you something. It's a serious question. Why do these people who promote who defend this, why do they insist that biological males, and I know there's no other kind, but just for the sake of our discussion here, why do they insist that they be allowed to play against females when it's blatantly and obviously unfair?
Well,
what would they say?
They would say, and here's the problem with the left as it has continued to move in its direction of rejecting God. Okay, they would say the individual determines their own reality. They have the right to decide what they want to be, who they want to be, the quote unquote, who they want to love, because love is love. And if they believe in their hearts and in their minds that they are in the wrong body and want to be trans, nobody has the right to tell them no. That's why they will say patently absurd things like trans women can have babies. And you say, well, but they're men. No, they're not. If they say they're women, because their worldview is the individual is sovereign, no one can tell them what to do. Obviously not God. They left that a long time ago, but society can't either.
Okay, a couple things here. First of all, you said they reject God. That's the first thing you said.
Yes.
So they reject God. These people reject nature.
Exactly.
Which is created by God, right?
Right.
The Bible says that he created them male and female.
Mm-hmm.
There's no trans.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Male and female. So they're rejecting, Wesley, these lefties, these secular lefties, they're rejecting God's nature.
That's right. Yeah. And another way of, in addition to what Ed's saying here too, is that if you're following what Ed was saying, you go, okay, let a person think that's what they're, okay,
right.
following.
What do I care whether somebody thinks they're an opposite sex?
The problem is when you apply their same standard the other way. For example, if we were to be opposed to that and say, how come I can't also identify? I know we've all used these examples before, but if you just isolate what you're saying is that a person can identify with whatever they want.
Right.
Well, then how come I can't identify as a millionaire, or I can't identify as a pilot? Why do I have to go to school?
You know what you do if you do that
enough?
They put you in a home.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah.
Huh?
Why do I have to go to school to become a pilot?
When you're identified as a pilot already.
I did YouTube videos. I'm ready.
Right,
you know what?
You're transitioning to be a pilot.
That's an extreme. I'm jumping all the way to the end.
But the logic. Align with that, and then we'll move on to the next topic here, because we're trying to get. One of the reasons we do a show like this and we discuss a topic like this, we want to give people ammunition when they discuss this with people maybe that would defend transgender and saying, hey, if they feel like there's something. Okay, so if you believe that a person can be something that they're biologically not just because they say they are or their feelings indicate. So you would say, well, he's born a male, but he feels like he's trapped in the wrong body, so he is you should call him a she because she is really a man, a woman trapped in a male's body. Okay, and you would say that with a straight face, and they really believe that. And, all right, then do you also agree then that Tim, a white male 62, can identify as a 31-year-old Chinese woman?
Right.
Would you say, and I said, I'm a 31-year-old, I'm a white male American trapped in a Chinese woman's body?
Yep.
No, I'm a Chinese woman trapped in a white male's body. Right. You follow me here? Yeah. I know I'm sounding a little silly here, but really, you would have to, if for a person who says you are what you identify as, you would have to acknowledge.
They do say that.
It's okay that I identify.
Yeah, I've watched man on the street kind of interviews on college campuses.
Yeah,
where this very thing goes on. The interviewer asks, "Can a man claim he's a woman?" Oh yeah, absolutely. I believe in that. I'm a supporter of trans individuals, and then they do what you just said. Well, can I identify as a 6'5" Chinese woman who's 31? Can I identify as a 16-year-old boy and go back to high school and date high school girls? And then they go, well, if that's the way you identify, I guess you would. You can see in their minds they're going
fighting it.
They're fighting it. They're going, man,
they know
that's
it's
wrong.
illogical.
Yeah, I know. But they can't tell you why they think it's illogical.
Red wants to rejoin the show at some point. But no, that's okay. I did ask you the question. One last comment, Wesley?
Last comment for me. So you got Tim Walz as the governor of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And if you've politically speaking, a lot of the times he and others in his camp will use the words the rights. They have rights. What about their rights? Their rights, their rights. Well, the problem with using that language is you're violating the rights of others to get rights.
Gotcha. And like young ladies. When you support a 16-year-old boy being able to dunk on a girl,
you're violating
in
the rights of the girls.
Or spike the ball in basketball, you're actually violating the civil rights of the young ladies.
Very literally.
Because you're forcing them into a dangerous and an unfair competitive situation. Everybody knows, we'll move on here. But I was watching my Wesley's daughter, 7-year-old play soccer last night. By the way, she scored 5 goals.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, she did. I said, that's my granddaughter right there.
5 goals?
I said it loud so everybody could hear it. I mean, I was like bragging openly. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I felt like maybe.
Granddaughter Landry, come on over here.
Yeah, I know, but I'd already done it. But anyway, she scored 5 goals, and I asked her real loudly, hey, did you just score your 5th goal? Hey, here, you seem to me to be better than all the other girls out here. But don't brag on yourself because I was saying it like.
Hey, listen, that's just the right of a grandparent.
Okay, so, but that's not my point. Yeah. I was leaving her game, and I was watching the 7-year-old boys.
Oh, yeah.
So the 7-year-old girls are soccer, playing on one field with my granddaughter. And as I'm leaving the field, I'm watching the end of a 7-year-old boys game.
Yeah.
Okay? The speed was double. Yeah. And I'm talking 7-year-olds. Maybe not double. That's
visually.
But visually, you could tell, hey, these little boys are moving faster.
Yeah.
As a whole. Now, you're going to find a little girl who can run with the boys for a while. But I'm just saying, you could obviously tell the the genetic makeup of the males were different than the girls.
Even at 7 years old.
Even at 7 years old.
Yeah.
That's Romans 1. It's visual.
Right.
You can see it.
Yep. Yeah. Next story, Fred.
All right. Well, let's go to the Middle East.
Wesley is where you come in. Brother.
Yeah, right here. Got you.
Vice President J.D. Vance is there. Probably has already met today with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Yesterday, President Trump back at home in Washington, certainly talking about what's going on in that supposed Gaza peace plan. We are stuck apparently on number 1 of 20 parts of that peace plan. Number two, now J.D. Vance says number two, which involves disarming Hamas. He says things are going pretty well. But President Trump yesterday talking about Hamas, saying if they don't do what they say they committed themselves to, disarm and give up the leadership of Gaza, then we will do something about it. So here's a little bit of J.D. Vance and President Trump talking about Hamas. Cut number one.
The terms of the 20-point plan that the president put out there is very clear. It's supported not just by Israel, but by all of our Gulf Arab friends. It's that Hamas has to disarm. It's that Hamas has to actually behave itself, and that Hamas, while all the fighters can be given some sort of clemency, they're not going to be able to kill each other, and they're not going to be able to kill their fellow Palestinians.
We're giving them a chance. You know, they agreed that they'd be very good, very straight. They wouldn't be killing people, and they have killed people. That wasn't the deal we made. But if they don't honor the deal, they'll be taken care of very quickly. But I'd rather not have to do that.
What does that mean?
I'd rather not have to do that. Make it sound like President Trump is in charge of all of this. Now, I say that because there was a statement issued from Prime Minister Netanyahu's office this morning in advance of his meeting with Vice President J.D. Vance. This is Prime Minister Netanyahu. Quote, "We are not a protectorate of the United States. Israel is the one that will decide on its security," end quote.
Who is that again?
Prime Minister Netanyahu. Now, what is he saying when he says we are not a protectorate of the United States? Well, he's saying the United States doesn't control us, nor do we put the responsibility of protecting us in the hands of the United States. I read into that he's a little disturbed by the comments coming particularly from President Trump, that President Trump is in charge of what will happen in Gaza, security-wise. And so putting that statement out in advance of his meeting with Vice President Vance, he was almost signaling, don't tell us what we will do. Don't give us the timetable on what we will do to make sure that we are secure from these Hamas terrorists.
Yes, and also Israel is a sovereign country.
Yes.
Gaza is land owned by Israel that the Arab Palestinians are living in, allowed by Israel.
Yes.
Okay, you remember when Israel removed all the Jews from Gaza? This is 15 years ago or so.
2007, I think.
Yeah, they removed all the Jews from, remember, and some of the Jews who had land there were upset. Remember, they had to physically pull them out. And then they said, here, Palestinians, you have this Gaza Strip, you run your own affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what happens. So I'm saying this to say, when President Trump says, by the way, he's getting very elementary in his words. I don't, good, bad, I'm not criticizing that altogether, but I hope nothing's going on there. Maybe he's getting tired. Anyway, but he shouldn't be saying, President Trump should not be saying, or we'll take care of them. Because what I think Benjamin Netanyahu is reacting to is, no, President Trump, as good as our friendship is, you don't have the right to say you'll send in the Marines on our sovereign country to fight because you want to get rid of Hamas. And secondly, we finish this when we get back. What are we going to do? Hunt down Hamas? You can't hunt down Hamas unless you go door to door, and there's no doors left.
Yeah.
It's just kind of I don't know. We can talk about it more when we get back.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Once upon a time, a traveling shoe salesman happened upon a shoe store manager who told him a tale which a customer had passed along to him just a few days earlier. The customer had said that he'd come from a country where anyone selling shoes could make a fortune. The customer had told the store manager that there wasn't a single shoe salesman in the entire country. Well, the traveling salesman, tired of competing with countless other shoe salesmen, asked where the country was. The store manager told him, and he immediately rushed out of the store without trying to sell the manager a single pair of shoes. The salesman wired his boss to send 10,000 pairs of shoes to that country at once and told him that he was taking the next plane to the country. He would be there when the shoes arrived and would make himself and his company a fortune selling shoes in that particular country because there wasn't a single salesman in the entire country. The salesman wired his wife that he was going to the country where there was no shoe salesman and that he would come home with enough money for them to live happily ever after. When the shoe salesman arrived at the country where there was no other shoe salesman, he was greeted by an official of that country. The salesman was so excited about the fortune he was to make. He asked the official how many people lived in that country. About 2 million, the official replied. But then the salesman happened to look down and discovered that the official wasn't wearing any shoes. "Why aren't you wearing any shoes?" the salesman asked. "No one wears shoes in this country," the official replied. The salesman hurried to the telegraph office and wired his company. "Council order. I'm returning. No one here wears shoes." Well, upon arrival at home, the salesman found that he had been fired. Shortly thereafter, another shoe salesman happened to enter the same shoe store which the first salesman had entered. He was told the same story by the same manager. Immediately, the salesman rushed out of the store without trying to sell a single pair of shoes. The second salesman wired his boss to ship 10,000 pairs of shoes to the country at once and told him that he was taking the first plane to that country. The salesman wired his wife and told her he was going to the country where there wasn't another shoe salesman. He promised to make a fortune for them and that they would live happily ever after. When met at the airport by the same official who had greeted the earlier salesman, the salesman asked how many people lived in that country. "About 2 million people," the official replied. Then the salesman discovered that the official wasn't wearing any shoes. When asked why, the official replied, "No one wears shoes in this country." Immediately, the salesman went to the telegraph office and wired his boss, "Send another 50,000 pairs of shoes immediately. No one in this country has a pair." And lo and behold, that salesman became the most prosperous shoe salesman in all the world. The name of the first shoe salesman was Mr. Pessimist. The name of the second shoe salesman was Mr. Optimist.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
However, as it is written, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love Him. 1 Corinthians 2:9.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to the program. Today's issues here on AFR. Tim, Ed, Wesley, and Fred. By the way, in just a few days, we'll be going on the air with our brand new purchase radio station. We bought it. We didn't. It's not a new station, but it's in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah.
And so we'll let folks know, but that's coming up so they can let their friends and family know, maybe who live in the greater Des Moines area. We have a lot of radio stations already in Iowa, but we haven't had one in Des Moines, so we'll be covering the state capital of Iowa very soon in the next few days. You're listening to today's issues, Tim, Ed, Fred, and Wesley. We were talking about Israel, and we're going to continue this conversation. J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, is in Israel, and he's trying to foster point 2. Is that what we're on? of the 20-point. Whoever gave it 20 points should be fired, by the way. Absolutely fired today and say.
They should know their trends. It's trending that we go 5 everything. It used to be 3, but now it's 5 everything.
You're
so
never going to get to.
points.
We're going to be here 7 years from now going, we're on point 7. I mean, it's just 20 points is too many. But anyway, we want to continue talking about this issue. And joining us is Jenna Ellis. Jenna is host of Jenna Ellis in the Morning, heard on AFR from 7 to 8 o'clock Central Time each weekday morning here on American Family Radio. And Jenna, good morning to you.
Good morning. And 20 points does seem like a lot, just like a Baptist sermon. You can only get like 2 or 3 out.
That's why I liked the late Adrian Rogers sermons. He just had
3 points.
3 points, and they all
the same letter.
They all the first same letter. Yeah, and you knew what you were getting.
He was a prince of preachers.
Oh man, and that baritone voice.
Yeah,
that's why we still air his Bible teaching show, Love Worth Finding, each evening here on AFR.
Hey, if it was good 10 years ago, it's good now.
They're timeless
the
messages that Dr. Adrian Rogers gave. I want to ask Fred this question. Then Jenna, I want to ask you. I don't want to necessarily talk about the politics of Israel right now, though we can get back to that, and it's intertwined with my question. But Fred, what is the? We were talking off the air here. You said the United States, President Trump. There's some tension here involved with Israel, but you said it would be a big mistake, you said, for the United States to ditch Israel. Now we're not saying that's going to happen. Don't misunderstand me. But there is contention now between Israel and the U.S. because Trump seems to be saying, "No, I'll run everything from here," and Israel seems to be saying, "Wait a minute, we're a part of this deal too." Anyway, go ahead.
Well, like a lot of
biblically speaking.
Yeah, biblically speaking, Genesis 12, comes to mind right away. When God said to Abraham, "I'll make of you a great nation," and
you're going way back now.
You're going way back.
Okay.
I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you.
You think that applies to modern day Israel?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And there has been concern when this Gaza, so-called Gaza peace deal, air quotes there, was put into place. President Trump involved countries such as Qatar and others. Qatar in particular allowed Hamas leaders to live in luxury in their country. And so there is conflict. Qatar has been named as funding Islamic groups on American campuses. So you got to be very careful. The United States has to be, I believe the United States has been blessed because we have been a forceful companion beside protecting Israel. The concern that is growing is, and that's why we made mention of the statement from Prime Minister Netanyahu's office this morning, and I'll read it again. The quote is, "We are not a protectorate of the United States. Israel is the one that will decide on its security," end quote. That seems to be in response to some of the talk that even as late as yesterday, that President Trump was saying, we will decide what to do with Hamas. All right? So I think the United States has to be very careful. As I say, I think we've been blessed because of our friendship, our support of the nation of Israel. But if we say we now have the right to call the shots with regards to Israel's security, I think that is perhaps stepping over a line. I think that is what Netanyahu was addressing this morning in that official statement from his office.
Jenna, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I fully agree that biblical covenants are continuing. And so when we talk about biblical covenants, I mean, these are formal agreements between God and humanity. And God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And his covenants continue. And so when we apply something even going all the way back to Genesis, it talks about the right of Israel, the nation, to inhabit the land. Now, does this mean that we as the United States have to agree with and support everything that the current government of Israel portends? Well, no. That's a very different than what Genesis is talking about in terms of the right to the land, the Abrahamic covenant, and also the nation of Israel in terms of those who bless Israel, because remember, there's also the Davidic covenant, which is that a man from the line of David would reign eternally, and that of course is the foreshadowing of the Messiah. Why do we bless Israel? Because without Israel we would not have the Messiah, which through whom the person of Jesus and the redemptive work of Christ is how we all can obtain salvation through that finished work. And so that is why we support the nation of Israel and the Judeo-Christian worldview, and obviously the biblical worldview. So I also agree that when we're looking at how we as a nation interact with Israel, it's not just that they have some kind of preferred status in terms of our foreign policy just because of those who bless Israel and all that. I mean, we have to put that into context, but it does mean that we as a nation can't try to draw the boundaries and contours of God's covenant. That's basically, I think, what Fred is suggesting, that would be very dangerous for the Trump administration to try to do.
You're listening to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. So what I hear you guys saying is, lady and gentlemen, you guys generic. I know Jenna does.
You
not.
guys is a Colorado term too, so I'm down.
Okay, I'm not saying you identify with anything other than. Well, I would stop right there. Take us down a wrong track.
Over a bridge.
Take us down rabbit holes. I don't rarely do.
The woods.
So anyway, my point is that it's not Israel right or wrong on politics and policy, but it is Israel right or wrong when it comes to having a steadfast support of the nation of Israel in general, and not abandoning them because you disagree with a policy here or there. But by the way, Israel is basically alone in the world now, and I think that's biblical too. The Jews there, it's a Jewish state, and they are surrounded by enemies, and they are and the world condemns Israel regularly at the United Nations for things that go on worse in other countries that they don't condemn, they being the United Nations. So, yes, Wesley's raising his hand. You have a question for me? Because
got a question.
I'm pretty good at this stuff.
I do got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So then what are we expecting the United States' role to be in the 20-point deal?
By the way, we give Israel a lot of money, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is true. They may be the number one recipient of foreign aid in the world. So they do count on the United States for not only moral support, political support, but financial support, too. I'm not saying Israel couldn't support themselves, but we do give them a lot of foreign aid to show and to demonstrate our steadfast support. And that's usually been bipartisan, the Republicans and Democrats. What were you asking now?
So the question that I have is, what do we expect the role to be of America in this 20-point deal?
Well, the 20-point peace deal was initiated by President Trump.
Right.
So he does deserve credit for that, and it did get, with point number one, get the hostages released.
Right. So we're going.
I haven't even read it. I don't know.
I'm looking.
I don't know what point 17 is.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But it's supposed to be a roadmap to peace in that region that the United States is supposed to take the leadership on. That's what I gather. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, then that begs.
Do I have that wrong, by the way?
No. I think the release of
Jen.
hostages and prisoners is part of phase one, and so I'm not sure how many phases are going into this peace deal. But the U.S. military is also supposed to be part of this in terms of stabilization efforts.
Bad idea.
But mainly
Bad
negotiating.
idea.
Well, yeah, I agree with that as well. So, I mean, there are several. So negotiation was part of this, then release, overseeing governance and reconstruction, and then also the stabilization efforts. Those two pieces of it, overseeing governance and stabilization, that's where I think things can get tricky.
The reason I'm asking is, I'll just fast forward, is because if we support American Trump and America's 20-point plan for a peace deal, then what is wrong with us helping also making sure that it gets done? Or
well, I think we are. I think that's why J.D. Vance is over there right now.
He's asking about talking about military involvement.
No, Trump should.
No. What I'm saying is, what then is wrong with Trump saying, well, if you don't do what we said on the deal, then I'll do it for you?
Okay, this gets complicated and conflated very easily, foreign intervention in military in other countries is absolutely against the America First.
Okay, did Trump say that? Military.
Yeah, well, he suggested it.
He did.
Let me give you an example. When I was
listen to Professor Ed.
Yeah,
he's fixing to wax eloquent.
I think this will answer.
Yeah.
I think you have a legitimate question, Wesley. I think this will help you understand what our role is meant to be
for this 20-point deal.
For this 20-point deal.
Okay, fair enough.
So back when I used to pastor, my wife and I would do marital counseling, and if a husband and a wife were having problems, we would try to help them see the biblical solution to that. And when they leave, it is up to them to do what we said they should do. If that breaks down, I'm not going to come over to the house and say to the husband, I told you you're supposed to take care of the outside work, so now I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So our role was to get these two sides together. We lay out the plan, and then they have to follow through, or the plan ends.
Thank you for answering my question.
I could have
That's
done
what I'm here for.
I could have done that, but you didn't ask me. No, that was a very good analogy. Here's where, and Jenna, Fred, I ask you, and then Jenna can jump in there too. The reason I say it's easily conflated and it's complicated is this reason. President Trump is suggesting that we would send the Marines in to Gaza to take out Hamas. Is that an unfair?
No, it's not unfair.
Okay, that's what he suggested. Am I right?
He's implying it.
He's implying that. Okay, that is a. If you're going to do that, as I say, that is injecting boots on the ground of American military personnel in a foreign country, Israel here. By the way, how you're going to fight a war against an enemy inside a sovereign country like Israel, an ally of ours, are we going to seek approval from the IDF and Benjamin Netanyahu about moves we make militarily inside Gaza? So Trump stepped in it. I'm just going to say it like it is. Trump has stepped in it. It will be the first time in his life he's done this. He stepped in it by suggesting that we use military in Gaza.
And this is what he said a week ago. I just want people to understand we're not making this up. Okay, so a week ago, and then he said something again, I think overnight. He said of Hamas, if they don't disarm, we will disarm them, and it will happen quickly and perhaps violently.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
You realize what he's saying there?
When he says we.
He's saying the Marines.
It makes it sound like we will go in with Israel.
We, the United States, I will authorize them to go find Hamas and take them out.
Now, if he didn't mean that,
does that help Israel?
Huh?
Does that help Israel?
That's why Benjamin Netanyahu said what he said.
Yes.
He said, "Wait a minute, hold on." I'm paraphrasing. He's saying, "Hold on now. We're not just a potty plant here in this deal. We have a say. This is our country, and we have a say here too." So as much as we love and respect President Trump, he can't just say we're going to come in with our Marines and take out Hamas if they don't follow this 20-point plan. Let Jenna go ahead and comment, and then you can comment, Wesley, and then we'll move on. Here, go ahead.
Yeah, and, I also want to point out that, again, I don't think that support of Israel in a biblical, Genesis 12 sense requires boots on the ground, requires military intervention, requires some of these strategic things that obviously our own government and our national sovereignty can decide. The whole point of that is to say that the nation and the boundaries that God ordained and covenanted to Israel, God owns the land, right? He created the land and he basically deeded the title into perpetuity to the nation of Israel, those metes and bounds. That's what we are obligated to protect if we understand the covenant in Scripture. How we do that, I think is a debatable issue. And to suggest that we have boots on the ground, but then also President Trump's executive order assuring the security of Qatar, or Qatar, however you want to pronounce it, is also very problematic because I don't view them as our ally for any other purpose besides negotiating this peace deal. So this is, as you rightly point out, Tim, it's a very sticky situation.
God, let me just be fair here for a moment. Not that we've been unfair to President Trump, but he did clarify. He has clarified some of his statements, because he recently here, it was yesterday or the day before, he said that that we would go in to straighten out Hamas if necessary, and that's when he had in all caps, it would be fast, furious, and brutal ends for the group. He was asked, does that mean U.S. troops on the ground? And he said, no, it's not going to be us. We don't have to. There are people very close, very nearby that will go and they'll do the trick very easily, but under our auspices. Okay, so these are conflicting messages that President Trump has sent. And I
Did he use the word auspices?
That was I guess that was probably on Truth Social. But that could explain why Benjamin Netanyahu's saying, hold on here, we're not a protectorate. Now, by the way, I looked up the amount.
What does protectorate mean? We're not a lapdog?
The definition, a state that is controlled and protected by another. And Netanyahu says that's not us.
Now, we do give them almost $22 billion a year
in
military aid.
Sure.
So this is how this is all complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we do
Tell
give
me
them
about it.
Yeah, give them $22 billion with a B. So President Trump has on several occasions used the word we're going to do this. When he's been asked, he has said, oh, no, not our troops.
I'm sorry. That doesn't help. That only complicates things for me. It doesn't clarify. You said clarify.
Well, Trump thinks he clarifies, and he just adds more words quite often.
Did he use the word auspices in a Truth Social post?
Yes.
Wow.
He wrote in a post on Truth Social.
So you take back what you said earlier when he said just
impressed.
simple words like good and bad.
Yeah.
Nope, we got auspices.
Trump usually goes with good, bad, quickly.
And you know what? I actually like that he, because so many politicians, and even like I'm guilty of this, speak in white paper and complicated verbiage, where Trump speaks in crayon. Everybody can understand it.
I agree.
I think it's
he
brilliant.
simplifies it. But now, did that help
But it should
you?
be clear still.
Okay, so did that? All right.
You're saying, so what does this actually mean?
Does he tell me what it means? Why are we being coy?
Well, I think he's trying to get the point across to Hamas, you are going to disarm. When he says we, he has also included other nations in the Middle East who have said to him, I'm pretty sure I got this right. He said, they've said to me privately, we want you to take care of Hamas.
Oh, yeah.
And now that's something else.
All right, who's going to take care of Hamas? United States Marines or IDF? Who's going to be the we that Trump said? That's what I want to know. That's very important.
I think it's the IDF.
Israeli Defense
Force.
Okay.
Which is why Netanyahu said what he said this morning, I think.
Then the world's going to say we broke the peace deal. That's what.
But I think this is the other brilliance of how Trump expresses things, is that he always leaves it open for interpretation, so he himself can reinterpret it later.
Oh, it's genius.
That is true.
It's as a political move.
If you're Hamas, you are wondering whether the U.S. Marines are going to be storming the beaches. We're going to stick an aircraft carrier off the coast.
But I thought Trump clarified that.
No, I know, but I'm saying if you're Hamas and he says we will do it, you're thinking it's the U.S.
Okay, then we'll move on. All right, who did Trump say is going to enforce the peace deal?
Well, he came back later.
Okay, what did he say? And then we'll move on here.
Okay, he said that if they don't agree to
Hamas, yeah,
he said then he says he claimed several U.S. allies in the Middle East.
Now?
I am quoting.
Tell me when you start quoting.
Okay, I will. In the Middle East have offered to send forces into Gaza at his request, this is what Trump is claiming, to, quote, straighten out Hamas, end quote, if necessary, promising a, quote, this is Trump saying, all caps, fast, furious, and brutal end quote, for the group. However, Trump clarified that U.S. troops would not lead such an operation, stating, quote, "It's not going to be us. We won't have to. There are people very close, very nearby that will go, and they'll do the trick very easily, but under our auspices. So we'll be in control."
Of the idea
of whoever the forces.
What, you got an Italian mob over there?
Well,
what do we got?
Not the
All right,
not the only mob.
I don't understand any of that.
Right.
That makes no sense to me. Does it make sense
Well,
to you, Fred?
that last hour, what
Auspices.
does that mean?
Nobody knows. That's part. I think part of
We won't have to do it, but we'll control it.
You know, this
That's
also
what
can
he
be
said.
frustrating for other people too, because on one hand, we want the United States to support Israel, be involved, help, and then on the other hand, with other presidents in the past who have been unhelpful, unwilling, unsupportive of Israel, then you got someone like Trump who is, and it's almost at times it's frustrating for some. It's like you can't win for losing, because he's very involved in it. I mean, the 20-point peace deal. I mean, he's constantly trying to end a war over there. But then again, you know, he makes a couple comments about like this, and we're upset. You know, it's like I don't know. I don't know on this issue. I don't know if you can win for losing if you're Trump, because if you don't do anything.
Listen, I'm supportive of his efforts to get the. I'm just saying, when you get into a situation like we're in, where that you got to be clear, and saying we're going to straighten out Hamas by using somebody else's military, but we're in control of it. That makes no sense to me, and I think that's why Benjamin Netanyahu said, "Wait a minute, no, we're in control of our own forces here." Mm-hmm. Anyway, all right, hey Jenna, what's coming up tomorrow on your show?
So we're continuing to talk about all of the government shutdown, all of those things. I
can't get enough of that talk. Can you?
Right.
I mean,
well, it was a very good show this morning. I was listening. Who was the Indiana governor, the congressman that you were talking to?
Yeah, Representative Marlon Stutzman. He's one of our regulars. He's fantastic.
It was very good. It helped clarify some things for me.
Like what?
Well, about the shutdown and the possibility of using the nuclear option to, in other words, to remove the 60-vote margin for cloture. And so Jenna did a great job with Congressman Stutzman on that.
Got you. Well,
thank you.
That's what we were supposed to talk to her about.
Yeah, well, I never know what kind of, theological jeopardy I'll get on today's issues. It's always
jeopardy.
fun.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah.
But it's also a lot of fun to cover those headlines. And Representative Stutzman did talk about, he thinks it's time to invoke the nuclear option, because the Democrats are basically getting a timeout, as he put it, like you would in sports. If the other team is winning, then the losing team calls for a timeout just to run out the clock and, some other things. And I thought that was a very apt analogy. And so I think it's time for Republicans to just say enough of this nonsense.
I think the Democrats are faking an injury on the field.
Like football.
Yeah, like in football.
Is that what AOC is screaming about?
Yeah,
all right.
I think so. Well, AOC screaming, that's daily. So I don't know.
Yes.
She could have had some spaghetti that was cold, so she's screaming. All right. Thank you, Jenna. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Fred. Thank you.
All right.
You had so many more stories.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, but Tim got long-winded and cut us short on some other stories we could have covered.
It is your show, sir.
Yeah, well.
You talk about what's on your heart.
Try to be
share your heart.
Humble man and share the wealth here. We'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
American Family Radio has always been portable, but thanks to technology, AFR apps have redefined our portability. Whether you prefer Apple or Android, we've got you covered on your phone or tablet. We're also available on Roku, and of course, you can get Alexa to play us on your smart device. Take us with you across town or across the country. Visit afr.net or your app store today.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Top Trump administration officials are meeting with Israeli leaders, trying to hold together a fragile ceasefire in Gaza. Jared Halpern has more from the White House.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio will travel to Israel this week to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Friday. His trip comes on the heels of an Israeli trip by Vice President J.D. Vance. Vance met with Netanyahu today after stopping in southern Israel for briefings with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner on the progress of a Gaza peace plan. A U.S. proposed peace plan calls for an international security force in Gaza. In a statement, Netanyahu says Israel is not a protectorate of the U.S. and will decide on its own security. Vance says the Trump administration remains very optimistic about the tough task ahead of rebuilding Gaza and ensuring Hamas is no longer a threat.
Just when it appeared the Trump administration was nearing a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine, news came that things might have fallen apart. Talking about this on Washington Watch, Peter Duran of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies pointed the finger at Russia's Vladimir Putin.
President Trump will have a very good call with Putin. It seems like the prospect for peace is on the table. And then once the diplomats get down to the nitty-gritty, get down to the details, Putin says, nope, I want my maximalist demands. And right now, that demand includes the destruction of Ukraine as a country. Obviously, that's not something President Zelensky can stomach.
The Trump administration announces plans to boost U.S. beef production. Kelly Saberi has details from a cattle ranch in Sandwich, Illinois.
We asked the Secretary of Agriculture. She said the point of this plan is to open up land that was cut off by the Biden administration for grazing, as well as diversifying the type of processing plants we have for beef. Here's how she put it.
We're going to make it much easier for our ranchers. We're going to invest in smaller processing plants. We're going to lift regulations to allow what hopefully will be a renaissance and a restoration of our beef cattle industry and beef herds moving forward.
The announcement comes at a time when cattle inventory is at its lowest point since the 70s. Ranchers across the country are dealing with everything from disease to drought, which is finishing here out in the West. At the same time, the administration announced the U.S. will buy more Argentinian beef.
The next war against the United States, should it come, might not involve guns and tanks and bombs. Steve Jordahl reports the U.S. could be far worse off if an enemy were to cripple our computer infrastructure.
Amazon Web Services, the cloud-based computing backbone that's used by several Fortune 500 companies, broke down for a time on Monday. Hundreds of apps and services were disrupted, making life a little harder for people around the world. But Bob McGinnis, author of AI for Mankind's Future, says that future would look bleak indeed if an enemy brought down our entire electrical and computing grid.
We would become a very, very distressed place to live if, in fact, we lost connectivity.
He says a massive cyber attack could bring the country to its knees without a shot being fired.
We could return to the Stone Age overnight. If you don't have city water and your electricity goes off, all of the infrastructure of a modern society.
And McGinnis says with so much of our manufacturing coming from China, it's likely that there are already backdoors and booby traps in most of our critical systems.
It is vulnerable. It is tethered to the electric grid, and it's tethered to the internet. It's tethered to much of what we manufacture and manage geopolitically as well as domestically.
Backup systems, encrypted files across multiple critical sectors of the economy, including energy and financial institutions, could be wrecked. Depending on the severity of the attack, it could take years to recover. And McGinnis says that would be far more than an inconvenience.
You don't live all that long typically if you don't have the necessities of life.
I'm Steve Jordahl.
And stocks are drifting near their record heights today on Wall Street. While the price of gold falls again, the S&P 500 slipped 0.1% and is sitting just underneath its all-time high. The Dow was down 99 points, and the Nasdaq Composite was 0.3% lower. For American Family News, I'm Rusty P.
Courageous living in turbulent times, the biblical case for cultural engagement, 7 checkpoints on the road to financial freedom, and the seasons of parenting. Those are just a few of the video resources from the AFA Cultural Institute. Find the AFA Cultural Institute videos as well as faith-enriching documentaries and family-friendly movies at stream.afa.net or search AFA Stream at the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Tim, Ed, and Wesley. And we're like Cher. We have no last names, people. Just see what I did there?
Yeah.
Was it a bad one? Bad joke?
I didn't see what you did. Go again.
Oh, so
I was
y'all
taking
weren't paying
notes.
attention to me. I said, Tim,
Yes.
I'm Tim with
Yeah,
Ed
you
and
wanna
Wesley.
share
I
last
said, we're
names?
like Cher. We don't have last names.
Oh, like Cher.
C-H-E-R.
I thought you said we don't like to share our
gypsies,
last names.
Gypsies, tramps, and thieves.
Okay.
Huh? You remember that song?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Just don't call me a half-breed.
No.
Just don't call you a half-breed? Okay.
I did think that you were saying we don't share our last
That's
name.
what I
like,
thought.
like on radio, like as if there's some secret
Oh,
here
okay.
because
Because it was Share-a-thon.
No.
and we're celebrities, so we don't want to have our name out there.
Oh, yeah, we're celebrities.
Right. We're like Sting. Does that help you?
Actually, celebrities would be the opposite. Your name would be out there, so
All
never
right.
mind.
Steve Paisley Jordahl is in here. Good morning, Brother Steve.
I have 3 names.
You do.
Apparently.
Steve Paisley Jordahl.
So I've been in radio a while, and I've worked with several people who decided that they want aliases. They don't use their real name on the radio.
Right.
So I guess because they don't want to.
Years ago, we had people here on the air who did not use their real names. One of them was a young lady. I remember.
They phonies?
Huh?
So they were phonies?
No, they just, especially this was a lady, and I think just for protection,
What was her name?
Safety. Well, I'm not going to say it. On the air.
I was just trying to bait you into that one. No, a lot of people use aliases or change their name for radio purposes or for especially in the entertainment industry because their name is too awkward or it's long and they want a more easily spoken name.
That's right. I don't know how I got away with Jordahl for 30 years, but
Vitagliano.
That's why I just say Ed's here.
Right.
You know. All right. Now, I think people need to listen up if they want to increase their church budgets.
Yep.
Right. If you want to increase the giving at your church, ladies and gentlemen, we have a real life example on how you can try to do this. Steve, you want to set this up for us?
Yeah, so we have a pastor, and I wasn't going to name him, but you know him. I am going to name him.
Okay.
We do?
Yes. This is Pastor Marvin Winans of the Winan Brothers.
Really?
Yeah. From Perfecting Church in Detroit.
Like BB and CC Winan?
Yes.
Okay.
The brother of.
The brother of. Okay,
Brother
so
of.
he pastors a church in Detroit.
He does. And he thinks he's the Apostle Peter. If you remember the story of Ananias and Sapphira,
yeah,
when they came down and they
Acts
said they said they gave everything and they didn't, and so
he doesn't literally believe he's the incarnated.
No, but he's acting like it.
Okay, so we have a video that was released, I guess, by the church.
I doubt it. Someone took it.
Or somebody. Anyway, so what happens? So we're going to listen to what happens.
So they're having a fundraising, and this is the kind of fundraising where people walk up to the pulpit with their donation and say what they're giving. It's not the Baptist way, at least my Baptist way of doing things. But let's listen to what happened. Cut 11.
Gave me breasttree for my COPD.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You didn't cut the commercial out?
I thought I did.
I, Roberta McCoy, given faith and stand in unity with the vision of Perfecting Church of sowing this seed of $1,000 plus $235 and receiving the blessings to come to all that participated.
Now that's only $1,200.
Yes.
Y'all not listening to what I'm saying. If you have 1,000 plus 1,000,
Well, I'm going to work on the other 800.
Well, that ain't what I asked you to do.
What happened after that?
She walked off.
She didn't.
She had
a
child with her. I saw the video,
Yeah.
and so my
child
comment,
with her too.
Well, you walk up with your family, and it was just her, and I don't know whether there's a child or a grandchild.
So she's telling how much money she's donating to the church.
Yeah,
and the pastor doesn't agree with that.
I was going to say, if you have complaints about your church, it could always be worse. You could be humiliated in front of the entire congregation for not giving.
We were supposed to say the
2,000.
moral principle to the end. We were supposed to have a little more fun with that.
So what? So do you agree with what he did there? or
No,
not?
man, no.
Absolutely not.
No. First
Okay.
of all, and listen, now this I don't know what kind of church this is. I'm guessing it's charismatic / Pentecostal.
Why do they
something
do
like
this?
that. Yeah, they
have a reputation?
Listen, I remember being at Bible college, which is a charismatic Bible college in Dallas, Texas, and the president, who was the wife, she and the founder, he had died, but she was running the school. Okay, she was the president, and on Tuesday nights, all the students had to be there for kind of like a chapel, kind of a church service. And once a year, they would do a fundraiser because it was open to the public. And they took up the offering, and the preacher was preaching, and it wasn't enough.
They counted it right there on the spot?
Well, no, in the back. And she
Oh.
came back and she said, "No, we need more money." And she took up 4 offerings.
Wow.
No, she
Yes,
did
she
not.
did. Yes,
In
she
one
did.
service?
In one service, 4 offerings. She said, y'all. So what I'm saying, and I'm not. I want to be careful here.
We're getting away from you. Hold on, let us
do what you think.
Don't be careful.
Do
Stop.
what you think is right. But
Okay, that's true. I agree.
I'm guessing this is probably a charismatic or Pentecostal church, because I don't like you telling everybody what you're giving. It seems to contradict what Jesus says in Matthew 6. That
Don't let your left hand know what your right hand
Yes.
is doing. Absolutely.
If you give, don't let everyone know what you're giving. Let your heavenly Father know, who sees what you do in secret. So I would disagree, but it's a free country, and they have.
Well, not that church. You got to pay.
Well played, Steve.
And listen. That's another thing. I don't like the fact that you're embarrassing people who don't have the full $2,000.
You know why it worked on the 4th offering in your line? Because people didn't want to hear that same offertory for a 5th time, man. They got tired of it.
No, they wanted to go home.
Did they lock the doors?
No, they didn't do that.
I want to see the video to this. All right, how would I look this up?
Look up Pastor Shame's
Is that his name?
donation. His name is
Shane.
Marvin Winans.
Shane. Oh, Pastor Shane.
No, he said the pastor
Shame.
shames.
What keywords to look it up?
Oh, I'm
Pastor
sorry.
Shames.
Okay, you said pastor.
Yeah, it does sound like Pastor Shames.
Separate word, shames.
Yeah.
Look up
What was
Pastor
his name
Shames.
again?
Marvin Winans. Yeah.
And listen, we don't know any of the other context here, if there is.
I don't think you know much.
Okay, I know, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying this is in the news, and that their church business is their church business.
It is,
but it's just it's not something you see every day.
No,
where a pastor says you ain't giving enough.
Now,
right there in front of God and everybody.
Now it could be
okay.
that what the pastor said is, here's the challenge, $1,000, and you match that with $1,000.
Right.
And if you want to do that, come on down.
Right.
And she
like Price is Right.
And then she came on down and gave $1,200.
Right.
So it could be that
Yes,
she was the one who was not following direction.
Right. He was just saying, this isn't what I'm talking about.
This is not what I'm talking about. I said 1,000 plus 1,000. You're trying to get credit for 1,000 plus 1,000 by only giving 1,000 plus 200.
Right. So go sit down.
So
who knows how algorithms work all the time? But it just so happens the first link that pulls up is from International Business Times, but yet this is happening in a church.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. Yeah. So now I have seen a way that. Why are you laughing?
I don't know where else you could possibly go.
Well, I just want to close. I'll just close with this. How many times have you heard your pastor say that? And you go, that's not true. You're not closing with that.
You're going to close with
let me
prayer
close with this.
Which you preach the sermon over again.
let me close with this, and then we'll move on to the next topic. I have seen a way which is a little less confrontational than that, but not much, which would increase giving at your church for offerings. That is, you have every church has screens up front now, almost, right?
Yep.
Where they show the songs, lyrics.
Yeah.
Or they whatever.
Evangelical churches.
Announcements. Yeah. Oh, maybe not Catholic churches or
Catholics. No.
Presbyterians do that, or they
probably most of them don't.
All right. Well, anyway, for those who do, well, Presbyterians and Catholics might want to pay attention to what I'm saying. Then, if they want to,
Eastern Orthodox.
Okay. They got the incense though.
They do.
Amish churches probably don't either.
They're not short of incenses. All right. Well, I shouldn't have started down that road. I was trying to make a point.
Go ahead. Make
the
your
point being, put you some big screens up there up front if you don't have them, and then get you a camera, cell phone or whatever, and pass the offering plate, and you follow along down the aisle. You see what I'm saying? In real time.
I see it.
In real time, while the offering plate is being passed, and you're showing the faces of the people in the audience, and it's appearing on the big screen.
Yes, so everyone can tell who's giving and who's
that
not.
way, the people aren't saying how much they're giving, so they're not violating the scripture you're talking about or bragging. But everybody in the church sees how much they're giving.
Well, you know what I would do in that situation?
So
I would keep a sign. I'd come to church with a sign.
Okay.
And when the
cell phone,
when the plate came by and the camera got on me, I would hold up the sign that says, "I gave online." And I would put it down. So you're not embarrassing me. I gave online.
That was a good one, Ed.
I got an even better idea.
All right.
So I think what you do, the pastor says, we're going to take an offering. Everybody stand up. Now reach into the pocket or the purse of the person in front of you, grab their wallet, and give like you've always wanted to.
So you need to violate one of the Big Ten in order to give. All right, what's your next story?
All right. Well, the Trump derangement syndrome is
I've got it.
Still.
Right now. You need to help me. Go ahead.
I think we're going to have to maybe, if we're fortunate, maybe, they're going to have to figure out how they can talk about Vance derangement syndrome, because he's next in line. If the Republicans win, he's a likely candidate for the White House.
Front runner.
And they're already lining up against him. I want to play you something from Jen Psaki. She was the former White House spokesperson for Joe Biden for a while. And she was on a podcast called I've Had It.
Is she going to circle back?
She might circle back. She definitely.
That's a hit from yesteryear, Ed.
Yes, it was.
Well, she's talking about J.D. Vance and his wife, Usha. 10.
I think the little Manchurian candidate, J.D. Vance, wants to be president more than anything else.
Yeah.
I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like, are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you. And that he's willing to do anything to get there. And that your whole iteration you just outlined, I mean, he's scarier in certain ways.
He's smarter.
In some ways. And he's young.
Oh, man.
Don't let Trump hear that. He's smarter.
She's smarter.
Yeah.
We were having a little bit of fun with the church thing, and then, Steve, you had to bring us down with that. That kind of thing just infuriates me. Because, okay, first of all, smarmy and snarky. I don't like that. They get in there. It's like, I'm sorry, but a couple ladies having coffee down at Starbucks and talking about their neighbors. It's gossipy because they are making all kinds of implications that they can't back up with facts. I mean, J.D. Vance, his wife is what? She's a prisoner there? That J.D. Vance is a Manchurian candidate? In other words,
this president doesn't want to be president.
That's what
yeah, you telling me Hillary Clinton didn't want to be president?
I don't think she did.
Right.
I mean, it's the hypocrisy of these people, and then they accuse President Trump of lowering the niceness level of politics, and they pull this kind of stuff. You know, Jen Psaki, she's not dumb. She's a pretty smart lady, but that kind of comment, I used to think, well, she was doing her job, but that's That's just gossipy, smarmy, and snarky. And no, that isn't a law firm in Memphis.
All right, next story, Steve.
All right. We've been talking for a bit about the way that Europe is cracking down on free speech, specifically on the internet posts. They are throwing people in prison in England for posting things that they say are hate speech and are inciting hate. Well, we finally have a country that kind of is pushing back, and this is Spain, because Spain arrested a priest. His name is Father Custodio Ballester, and he was arrested after writing an article called The Impossible Dialogue with Islam, in which he wrote, I feel a moral obligation to speak the truth. One cannot speak of dialogue when in Islamic countries Christians are persecuted, murdered, or forced to pay the jizya to survive. You can't have a conversation with Muslims. They don't want to talk, is what he's saying. And so he went to court, and the court acquitted him. So at least there's a court in Spain that's kind of pushing back.
Does it mainly?
It does, mainly in Spain.
On the plane?
Yes.
Okay.
The court in Spain on the plane. See, that helps me that gets my mood back.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim.
While riding a train.
Yes.
But you got to stay in your lane.
You guys. Okay, now you're going from cheering me up.
Now you're just being a pain.
Yeah.
That was a good way. Steve, just close that segment for us.
Okay.
So we can move on.
Transition.
All right.
Ed, Wesley, I'll separate this for you. And Steve Paisley Jordahl, and we got 8.5 more minutes left.
Because we want to be sane.
Well, see, Ed had to.
I had to,
put his last rhyme.
Listen, that is a good news story.
Yeah, it is.
Because too many places in Europe are punishing people who just simply have free speech if they're not saying the government-approved thing.
Yeah.
Which is you can't criticize Muslims, you can't criticize homosexuals, you
It's
can't
all
say
about
pro-life things.
They might
Even though Muslims
feel bad.
criticize homosexuals.
Yes.
They might feel bad.
Yeah, throw them off the
That's
roof.
what I'm saying. All right, go ahead, Steve.
All right, we have a professor at San Diego State University named Jean Twenge who has been looking at some data, and here's what she found. The number of young adults identifying as transgender has been cut by half in 2 years.
Cut by half?
Among 18 to 22-year-old, trans identification was cut nearly in half from 22 to 24, and non-binary identification dropped by more than half in 23 and 24. She doesn't, at least in this article, doesn't give a specific reason. She might in the study, but I'm saying that I think the time of the
trendy
or
it's trendy to be bi or trans.
You go ahead.
Yeah, good.
What's the word that it's contagious?
Social contagion.
So,
go ahead, Wesley.
Can we speculate on this show?
Speculate. Well, we got social contagions running around here.
That's all we do.
And
sometimes.
I think that spawns some.
I
some
don't have.
That's a good word. Spawn.
I don't have a study in front of me, or I haven't asked anybody that falls in this camp. But I would imagine that there was a good time period there where people were very convinced. I do know this for sure, that LGBT people were being attacked and their rights, and it wasn't fair, and the world's against them, and we got to make adjustments and policies and all that. I do think there's a time period where the younger generation did feel guilty or bad for them based on what they were saying. But I think enough times passed that the younger generation sees that that's just simply not true. Nobody's asking for their gender at a barber shop before they cut their hair, right? So I think enough times passed where they see that they've exaggerated and or just lied about them not having rights or whatever, to the point where I think during that time period there were some people that just identified as it to say, I'm with them, I support them. And these people obviously I would imagine didn't have a moral conscience to them or Christian or anything like that, to the point where they were willing to take whatever came their way just to say, I associate, I stand with my LGBT friends, so yeah, I'm bisexual or something like that. But I think your numbers are starting to drop. I think I'm speculating because you're seeing that we've been doing this for 20 years, the Republicans, conservative Christians, being accused of being a hater, and there's just nothing there. All you get is a Smollett.
Yeah,
Smollett.
You want to hear that? You want to see their heads spin? Move Gay Pride Month to February, where it only has 28 days.
And it's a cold month.
Yeah, right.
In most places.
Yeah, the parades would be a lot better because they'd have to dress up.
They'd have to wear clothes.
I think in pop culture, it's the last 5 to 10 years, the trans issue's been front and center, and it was about all that was left to be promoted by Hollywood and the entertainment industry, and so they began to get a lot of sympathy, the trans people, because they're being persecuted and bullied, and so there was and it was promoted, and I think it was promoted, and I'm saying where it came from, pop culture, and so when it's promoted, then these 14, 15, 13, 15, whatever year olds said, hey, yeah, I'm trans. I'm raised my hand. I'm trans too, when they really weren't.
Right.
And so
they were trying to be part of the number.
Now things are maybe coming back to what they really are. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, can I just say one thing on this?
Yes, you can.
Can I?
Yeah.
Let me just to Wesley's point. My wife and I were at a restaurant, I don't know, over the weekend, and I won't name it, but it's pretty well known.
Is it the Winans restaurant?
No. And we sat down, and another couple of folks came in, and one of them was clearly a dude with a wig and a dress.
Dude like a lady?
It's and so my wife, I always sit so I can face the door, see who's coming in. So when they walked by, I told my wife, I said, that was not a girl. That was a guy. Okay, my point is, it's Mississippi. Nobody said a word. I didn't say anything. Nobody dragged the dude outside and beat him up.
Right.
Nobody refused him service.
Right.
And I think to Wesley's point, a lot of young people are seeing that's not really happening anywhere. I mean, if it doesn't happen in Mississippi, it's not going to happen anywhere.
It might happen if he steps into the ladies' restroom and there's a little girl in there.
Well,
that's Dad might decide that's the time to.
But anyway, that to Wesley's point.
No, the whole bullying and beating him up and harassing him, that's just not true.
Right.
No, it only happens if you're a Christian.
That's just not true. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Steve.
All right. Got examples. Go ahead.
Let's end here. I want to introduce you to Carlitos Ricardo Parias. He's 44.
Who?
Carlitos Ricardo Parias.
Okay.
He's a 44-year-old illegal alien from Mexico, and he has been charged with assault on a federal officer because he rammed him in with a car, and that's making kind of big news now in the city of Los Angeles. But here's the thing. So they've arrested him. It was only a couple years ago that the city of Los Angeles gave him a certificate of recognition in honor of his unswerving commitment to keep South Los Angeles community informed, empowered, and protected. And now he's ramming his car he was, by the way, he got into a gunfight with the ICE agents.
This sounds like a participation award he got here.
Well, and it was for
recognition.
It was for unswerving. Apparently, he didn't swerve enough.
He ran right into him.
Wait a minute, he's an illegal alien.
Yes.
As opposed to like a legal alien.
As opposed to a legal alien.
It's like come from outer space. We all know that.
I don't think
so he got a recognition, and now he's
arrested.
That's unfortunate. Huh?
What was his name again?
Carlitos Ricardo Parias.
Very disappointed in him. Aren't you, Ed?
Well, I think he should have swerved. You take these.
Was anybody hurt?
There was an ICE agent that was injured by a ricocheted bullet, and he was hurt. No, neither one of them seriously.
And this guy was the one that did it?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
No. Yes. I don't know if he had the gun or if he was being.
You got
the
10
car
seconds
is a
to be
weapon. I
accurate.
don't think he had a gun. I think the car was the weapon, and they were
to be continued.
Yeah.
Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.